नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9. Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. Text 1 and 2. Sri Sukha Vacha Ekada Gruhadasisu यशदानन्दगेहिनी कर्मान्तरनियुक्तासु निर्मन्थ स्वयं दधि। श्रीसुक उवाच एकदा गृहदासीसु यशदानन्दगेहिनी कर्मान्तरनियुक्तासु निर्मन्थ स्वयं दधि। श्रीसुक उवाच एकदा गृहदासीसु यशदानन्दगेहिनी कर्मान्तरनियुक्तासु निर्मन्थ स्वयं दधि। There is one more verse, I'll just recite, then we'll chant word to word meaning. यानि यानि ह गीतानि तद्बालचरितानि च दधि निर्मन्थने काले स्मरन्ति तानि अगायत। Sri Sukha Uvacha. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Ekada, one day, Grihadasisu, when all the maid servants of the household were otherwise engaged, Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Gehini, the queen of Nanda Maharaj, Karma Antara, in other household affairs, Niyuktasu, being engaged, Nirmamantha, churned, Swayam, personally, Dadhi, the yogurt, Yani, all such, Yani, such, Iha, in this connection, Gitani, songs, Tat Bala Charitani, in which the activities of her own child were enacted. Cha, and Dati Nirmanthane, while churning the yogurt, Kale, at that time, Smaranti, remembering, Tani, all of them, in the form of songs, Agayata, chanted. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, one day when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, She remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way, she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from Vaishnava Toshani of Srila Sanatana Goswami, says that the incident of Krishna's breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yashoda took place on the day of Deepavali, on the Deepavali day, or Deepamalika. Even today in India, the festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and lights, especially in Bombay. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yashoda's cows ate only grasses, so flavorful that the grasses would automatically flavor the milk. Mother Yashoda wanted to collect the milk from these cows, make it into yogurt and churn it into butter personally, since she thought that this child Krishna was going to the houses of neighborhood Gopas and Gopis to steal butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily prepared. While churning the butter, Mother Yashoda was singing about the childhood activities of Krishna. It was formerly a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry or have this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yashoda did not want to forget Krishna's activities at any time. Therefore, she poeticized all of Krishna's childhood activities, such as the killing of Putana, Aghasur, Sakatasur and Trinavrta. And while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. This incident shows how Krishna conscious Mother Yashoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. Hare Krishna. So with the blessings of all Assembled Vaishnavas, I would like to speak on this exalted pastime, which is very dear to the devotee communities, which took place in month of Kartik. So this is the Damodar pastime. I was thinking Damodar Prabhu would have been the appropriate speaker for this. So I'm just chosen Baldev Prabhu. Okay, so this is a very nice and beautiful pastime. Especially Parikshit Maharaj was interested to hear the childhood pastimes of Krishna. He was very eagerly asking Sukdev Goswami. And here in this particular pastime is like 1 or 2 full chapters which describes Krishna's childhood pastime in a detailed way. Srila Prabhupada writes many things in this purport. From the translation also we see that Mother Yashoda was herself decided to engage in this churning of yogurt to prepare butter for Krishna. So it is explained that there are many maid servants in the house. They are engaged in various ways. But Prabhupada says, because Krishna was not interested in anything that is prepared ordinarily, some kind of butter or anything, therefore she wanted to prepare herself something nice. Therefore she chose very first-class cows and the flavored milks, which is offered by the cows who eat very nice flavored grasses. And in this way she took the task to herself to prepare the best quality so that Krishna will not go here and there to steal butter. Although I was raised in a town, city place, those days, even in government quarters, they would give a cow shed to each house, constructed cow shed. And we had few cows. But because it is city, the cows would not get grass to eat outside. Grasses were there, but not so much because of concrete roads and buildings and playgrounds without grasses. So the cows would go to marketplaces sometimes. Sometimes our cows would eat this onion chilka. And the day they would eat that, they're like helpless. We cannot blame them. But the milk would smell horrible. Nobody would be able to drink that day. This is like a perverted version of what happens in Golok Vrindavan. So there they get the best quality of grasses, and the milk we can understand. I can imagine how tasteful the milk must be. Like sometime our Tulsi Priya Prabhu goes to all the way, Rajasthan, what is that place? Huh? Pathmeda. And he gets that milk was so tasty. All of us devotees had here. So here Mother Yashoda takes care in every detail so that she can make the best, butter. So that because Krishna was not interested in anything ordinary. And therefore he was going around and stealing. Sometimes in a rich man's house, if there are many servants engaged, sometimes we also go to rich devotees, places. And we see some servant also cook. They cook very nice dishes, but something is lacking. Sometimes we see that. Therefore, in this is a king's house, so there are many servants. So when servants are engaged to cook things, like Vishnu Chakravarti Thakurpad writes that Mother Yashoda was not interested in getting the job done through these maid servants because they burned the milk all the time. He writes that in the commentary. Therefore, she took the task to herself. So this kind of neglect may happen in a big household life, where there are many servants. The product may not be nice, but in the neighboring house, where there are not many servants like the gopis and the gopas, because they are churning butter to invite Krishna in one sense, and Krishna was attracted to those, personally churned things. So therefore, in this particular day, Vishnu Thakurpad writes, from this day onwards, she decided to cook herself. So like also we see in our kitchen Gaurang too, one day he decided he will cook from this day onwards, non-stop for the devotees. In a similar way, we can see Mother Yashoda has decided that from this day onward I will cook, I will prepare things myself for Krishna, so that it doesn't go here and there. But then what happens, while doing these services, she was constantly thinking about Krishna. Of course, recently I was reading this 18th chapter of Gita, where it is mentioned actions in 3 different modes. Modes of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And there we see that action in mode of goodness, the performer doesn't desire the fruit of the result. Neither is attached to the work itself, but he performs it not just duty, but something more, out of duty. Sometimes we say out of duty, but actually there is more. Whereas person in mode of passion, he performs activities which are like strongly motivated to enjoy the results. Therefore, sometimes we see passionate people are working very hard because their goal is the results. Whereas those in mode of ignorance, they do some perverted work and get pleasure out of that. Like some acharyas explain, that they do activities like murder, loot and rape, and they get pleasure out of those activities, like perverted actions. But the compare is between mode of goodness and passion. Ignorance, there is no question, we just reject it. Sripad Madhavacharya, I was reading his commentaries, he was saying that a child who is taken care by a nurse may appear to be same as the child taken care by the mother. It may appear to be same. But there is a big difference between the way it is performed, or the child benefits out of these 2 different services. But the nurse may just do it to get some salary, to get some money, whereas the mother performs out of causeless love, affection, and there is a deep affection involved. So it's not just duty, it's because that deep affection is involved, therefore the nourishment of the child is much more than what the nurse can do. So, whereas one person works to get the results and enjoy the result, She may be working very hard, the nurse may be working very hard. The mother also works even harder actually, but she is not interested in any result. Simply out of love and affection she is doing. So which is better, he is asking. So nowadays the society is actually deprived of this kind of activities. Everybody is looking for the results. As a result, the action itself, the work itself loses the quality it deserves. There is no quality in the action because when one is constantly thinking about the result, how much I'll get, how much I'll get, how much I'll get, he cannot focus or do justice to the activity itself. So therefore, the action and mode of goodness is always beneficial to everyone, better way. The child is receiving the result of the activities in this instance. The child is receiving the result of the activities performed by the nurse or by the mother. In one case, the child is receiving much more than what the child can receive being done by a person who is in mode of passion. So this point is something that is lacking in today's world because of excessive passion and ignorance. They seem to miss the happiness. Therefore, they miss the happiness that one derive in doing activities without a strong desire to enjoy the results. They miss that happiness. Sometimes people think that I can enjoy only if I get the result and enjoy myself. But there is a happiness involved in serving without desiring the results. That is something, because of deep ignorance and because of strong attachment to sense enjoyment, this point is missing in today's society. So he makes few points. Action performed desirelessly is perfect and is more beneficial to the society. He gives the example. Everybody agrees that homemade food is cleaner, healthier and more nourishing than the hotel food. This is the Acharya's commentary. And I know, when I came to universities and stayed in hostel, especially places like IIT, that the hostel food is sometimes, in the beginning days, it appeared to be very nice. So many, cornflakes and butter and bread and as much tea as you can drink, things like that. Opulence. Sometimes they would deliver tea in the room, morning 5 o'clock, Brahma Muhurta time. So all these facilities are there. But in the beginning it is very exciting and nice, but it's a matter of week before you lose taste for this food. You remember mother's food actually. Even it is very simple, very kind of raw, not so expertise involved in the cooking. But still that mother food is always preferred over any amount of ornamented food that is offered in hotels and places like that. Why? Because in mother's food, it's not just the food that she cooks. It is out of her love and affection for the child. So the food when the child receives, the child eats, partakes those remnants, whatever the mother cooks. If it is offered to the Lord, it is excellent. But even in an ordinary household, when the mother cooks, not only the food, nutritional values are there, which is there, but as with it also, that affection of mother is there. So when the child eats that food, it not only nourishes the body, but also nourishes the mind, the intelligence, all these parts are nourished. His sense of being a son or child of a parent, that sense that everything is nourished, a relationship is nourished. So in this way, therefore when a person eats outside, he misses those, subtly he misses, doesn't understand what I'm missing, but this is what they miss. And similarly, when the food is actually offered to Krishna with love and devotion, cooked by nice Vaishnavas and offered lovingly to the Lord, then that food is actually spiritual. It not only nourishes the body, mind, it also nourishes the very self. That person, spirit, soul, is actually get the nourishment. So therefore, action performed desirelessly is perfect and is more beneficial to the society. Then he says, if we perform actions with selfish motive, always we shall be more anxious about the result than the action itself. Always anxious about the result. Hence, there will be more shortcomings in our action, which is detrimental to the society. If anyone performs action desirelessly, his attention is on the action alone. He performs the action with devotion and sincerity, and it becomes perfect. Such perfect action alone is efficacious to this world. Efficacious to this world, he says. So by proposing this method of performing sattvic deeds, the Gita has reconciled neatly the two opposing ideas of action and inaction. So one is action, the other is inaction. There is activities, but the result and the endeavor itself has a lot of worth in the totality, if you see. So therefore, these activities basically involves a sense of sacrifice for the benefit of others. So the pleasure derived in mode of goodness is that the action is performed for the benefit of the person without considering one's own selfish enjoyment. So that is sacrifice. And in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada explains that we should always think to serve Krishna and think about Krishna. It is explained in 10th chapter of Gita, Matchita. Before that, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, matta sarvam pravartate, iti mattva bhajate mam, buddha bhava samanvita. So in that particular verse, Krishna says, I am the source of everything. Actually, prior to that verse, he explains how is the source of demigods, how is the source of all the great sages, how is the source of intelligence, all these great qualities. And then in the end he says, actually I am the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. Bhava means birth. Prabhava means is the cause of the birth. And matta sarva pravartate, it is explained that, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I have descended to teach, to explain and teach, demonstrate bhakti, process of devotional service. Pravartrayana, that word is used there, that I have descended to teach bhakti. So pravartate, this word is, the Lord actually sends all his great personalities to teach us bhakti and yoga and all these different processes. And he is the one who actually functions and operates this world, or kind of activate the world. And the wise who knows this, he worships me with bhava, he says, with love and devotion, with kind of affection. So when I was reading, I was thinking how this is possible. Understand, somebody is so great, and suddenly you have to serve him with bhava. How does they relate? So this selfless service is actually how it is rendered. When we see something more inspiring, we are also inspired to serve to that person. Why devotees are so much doing service, for example, in this temple? Because there are others who are doing it nicely, isn't it? So when we see somebody very exemplary, very selfless person, then inspired by them, we also serve. Selfless thing, isn't it? That's how it works, isn't it? So whenever we see something very superior, it's our natural tendency to serve. And especially when we see that person is serving some other person who is more superior, then it even inspires. Everybody is inspired like that. Ultimately we come to Krishna, who is actually the most loving, selfless personality. So it is always explained in the Shastra, explained by the Acharyas, that we have to always think of Krishna and serve Krishna. So what we see here, Mother Yashoda, in the next verse it is explained, while churning the butter, Mother Yashoda was singing about the childhood activities of Krishna. It was formerly a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry or have this done by a professional poet. So we see that Mother Yashoda is not only thinking about Krishna, but she has made endeavor. She has made some kind of hard work Of course, again, the writing of poetry itself is like a pleasurable thing, and writing about Krishna in poetry form is more pleasurable. But she has done all this homework. She has kind of thought about it. It's not easy to write a poetry. It's not easy. It's very difficult. If you try, you'll understand. I tried once. It was very difficult. So she has done these all things, and she is singing about. Then it becomes easy to remember. So what is done here is about Krishna and for Krishna, and the thought processes about Krishna. So in the next verse in that Bhagavad Gita it comes, Krishna says that my devotees, how they behave, he says mat chitta mad gata prana. So that bhava samanvita means they are equipoised, sama. Their bhava is fixed. No matter what happens in this world, what kind of reversal may happen, but they are fixed in their devotion to Krishna. It is never disturbed by anything that happens around. So how fixed it is a mat chitta mat gata prana. That their consciousness, chitta, is fixed in me. That means they are constantly thinking about me, smaranam. So we know this process of bhakti involves Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. So these first three things is very significant for devotees, especially the sadhakas. They should not, go the last few things like that, Sakhya, Dasya and all these things. Dasya, of course, we can accommodate. So this thing is constantly thinking, Smaranam, Machita. Madgata Prana means Krishna is their life and soul, very life for devotees. Actually, Prabhupada says in the purport that one should constantly chant Hare Krishna. Why chanting Hare Krishna? Because this chanting of Krishna's holy names is actually life of our spiritual existence, foundation. Just like for our body, water is life. Water is life. If you study, actually, creation explains in Bhagavatam that all the creation takes place in water. Whether Garbhadaksha, Vishnu creates within water. These mammals, they are also created in the womb. That is also water. Those who are born from egg, they are also born from water. Those who are born from perspiration, that is also water based. So therefore, in a sense, water is life. There is a saying in English, water is life. So without water, we cannot exist. Just by eating, we cannot exist. We need water to survive. Of course, Kaviraj Goswami explains that this watering is actually chanting of Hare Krishna. So our spiritual life survives on this watering of holy names. And of course, one just doesn't live on water, he eats grains also for strength. Therefore, the philosophy, these literatures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all this, of course, Bhagavatam is about Krishna 100%. Therefore, it is also like life. It's very dear to Vaishnavas. But otherwise, the philosophy that we need gives the strength to overcome the difficulties in life, reversals. So, therefore, this chanting Krishna is actually life of devotion, devotees and devotional service, very life. Bodhayanta Parasparam, they speak about me to each other. They share their experiences. Then Kathayantascha Mam Nityam, and they also speak about me. They narrate about me. So in this way, this is how the pure devotees' life are. And of course, one should aspire to reach to this stage. Otherwise, this chanting will be like something, chanting and at the same time not aspiring these things will defeat the purpose. Like sometime the people who stay in a jail for a long time, the inmates of the jail, when the time of release comes, they get scared. What will I do outside? They get scared. They're scared, there are suffering maybe here, but somehow I'm okay here. If I go outside, I'll have difficulties to live a sadhu life, following the rules of the laws of the government. He's scared to do that. because he is accustomed to break them. Similarly, living in this material world, sometime when a person is told that you have to actually aspire to go back to spiritual world, they get scared. What will I do there? Always thinking of Krishna, speaking about Krishna, what is this? But actually the people who are there, they are very happily enjoying, constantly releasing this service to Krishna. Because he is worth serving. He is worth serving because he is the epitome of all the good qualities. So, but unfortunately, because of a lack of knowledge and ignorance, no one wants to enter this kind of pastime which Mother Yashoda is constantly releasing. And in this way, she is thinking about Krishna, who is actually sleeping in a room next to, so she didn't want to disturb his rest. At the same time, she didn't want to miss him. So therefore, she was, by singing and speaking about him, she was feeling her Krishna's presence. And Srila Prabhupada writes that she sang about these activities in a poetical form. And this should be the practice of persons eager to remain in Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. So this should be the standard one should try to follow. So then Krishna says, those who think like this, bodhyanta parasparam kathantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. In this way, this is their nourishment and this is their satisfaction. So when person is satisfied with these things, they don't look for anything outside these activities. That itself is enough. Tushyanti. And ramanti, they also release, they also enjoy these activities. And when one does like that, then Krishna says, actually then I gave them devotion, bhakti. It's just like Gauranga Prabhu was telling the other day, that how Krishna depends on devotees to impart bhakti to a conditioned souls. So this bhakti is actually Krishna's property. And Krishna says, I only award to one who does bhakti. If one does yoga process, if one does speculations to know about Krishna, then one cannot achieve bhakti or cannot achieve or understand Krishna. But if Krishna decides to give, to whom? To the devotees who are constantly engaged in devotional service. And who offers devotional service? Krishna's devotee only offers devotional service. So in this way, one is able to get into bhakti by the gift of the devotees. Like it is explained that how sometimes when we sit in a classroom and hear from very exalted devotees, while hearing about Krishna and devotional service, we get very inspired. And we take many kind of, internally we take many vows. Okay, I will do this, I will do that, I will do this. But actually, all this decision that is coming upon us, within us, are the kind of, vow or decision we take, is because of that devotee who is actually speaking and glorifying Krishna. Therefore, the benefit goes to him. Therefore, sometimes if we think that I am the doer and I will do like this, I will do like that, then as soon as you walk out of the room, out of the class, then we forget these things and back into Maya. But the person who actually realized it, who said it, he continues in his own devotional life. So therefore, unless one submissively worships these personalities, one cannot have access to bhakti. So when this bhakti is awarded, then Krishna says, Tesam satatoktanam bhajatam pritipurukam dadami buddhiyogantam yena mam upayanti te. They come near me. Let's say Upanishad, or studying Shastra, sitting next to, Upa means next to spiritual master. By sitting next to spiritual master, we study or hear about Krishna. Similarly, Upayanti means, yanti deva bata devan, yanti means to go. So here Krishna is explaining, Upayanti means they come near to me, like they are next to Krishna. So by this devotional service, one is actually able to reach Krishna and see him face to face. So that is the point. So therefore, all these great pastimes, these gopis and the gopas who serve and worship Krishna constantly, they are not ordinary personalities. Because their selflessness is reached its fullness, because their sacrifice and their love, everything is reached the highest because they are serving Krishna. Like in this world, somebody may be serving some person who's like a nice gentleman. So to that extent, the person is nice, to that extent the person serving, that his selflessness will manifest. So similarly, when we see the gopis and the gopas, their service is best, the best of all devotional service, because it is directed to Krishna. So in this way we see this pastime will manifest, and in the future classes we will hear more and more from about senior devotees. I believe tomorrow Hazrat Govind Prabhu is going to speak. Baldev Prabhu was telling me. So thank you very much for saying Hare Krishna. We have any comments or any questions or comments? Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Gaur Premanandi.